All right. So today we'll be doing polity. So polity, if we see it, it is a very vast subject, right? It is a very vast subject. But in AFCAT, in your exam, there are only like 2 to 3 questions which will be coming from polity. Okay. So we will be targeting these 2 to 3 questions from polity in your general awareness part, right? So we have to shorten this whole thing. Okay. Polity is a very wide thing. So for you, I have made important topics, right? Important topics. We'll understand what polity talks about, how it goes, right? And there are some important topics, okay? There are these important topics on which questions are made, okay, in your AFCAT exam. So we will be discussing all those topics on which the questions are made, and we will be doing some questions then, okay? So we'll go like this for polity. Okay. So this lecture would be more than enough for these 2 to 3 questions, okay, which come in your polity. All right. Now I want you to unmute yourself. Okay. A few questions I'll be asking. I want you to tell me. Okay. So this is our constitution, right? This is our constitution. When was our constitution adopted? Yes, anybody? When was our constitution adopted?
26 November 1949.
Yes, very correct. It was adopted on 26th November. It was adopted on 26th November 1949 after our independence, right? And when did it came in force? When did this constitution came in force?
26
January
1950.
Yes, it came in force on 26th January, right? 1950. Okay. So what is this? This thing over here? What is this? What is all this written? Yes.
Preamble.
Preamble.
This is our preamble. Okay. What is preamble? What is preamble? What is this?
Summary of Constitution.
You can not say summary. It is the introduction of our constitution. It is our introduction. Okay. It is introducing our constitution in a way that what all things are there in a sequential manner. Okay. So if we read this, it says the people of India, we the people of India have solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. All right. So all these words are very important. These all words were not at that time of 1950 when this came in force, right? There was one word which was added afterwards. Can you tell me which one was that? Yes. Which of these following words was not there during 1950? Yes. Anybody? Anybody? So this was this word, socialist. Yes, correct. Socialist came afterwards in our preamble. Okay. Socialist. When was this added word? When was this word added in our constitution? Yes.
1976.
1976. Yes. By 42nd Amendment Act. 42nd Amendment Act, right? In 1976. Okay. This word was added. All right. What does this socialist means? Yes. It tells people to achieve socialist goals, right? It talks about DPSP. This talks about DPSP. We'll discuss what are all these things further in our video. Okay. All right. So let us move further. So this whole constitution, our constitution is divided into certain parts. All right. It is divided. It is a very long book and it is divided in certain parts. Right. So part one, it talks about what? It talks about the union and its territories. Okay. Part one of constitution, very first part talks about union and its territories. Right. Then part 2 talks about what? It talks about citizenship, right? It talks about citizenship. Then comes this part 3. It is important part. Okay, we will be discussing about this. It talks about fundamental rights. All right. These are questions which are made from fundamental rights. Okay, questions are made on this. Okay. Then there is this part 4. It talks about directive DPSP, directive principles of state policy. Okay. Then there is union, state, this union territories. Then this is very important. Then panchayats and municipalities, right? These parts are important over here. Okay. Then part 8 of constitution talks about what? Part 18 of 17 of constitution talks about official languages, and part 18 talks about emergency policy provision. Okay, in case of emergency, what all things we have to do, it is mentioned in part 18. Okay, so these were the parts. Like this we will be discussing our polity, okay, today. All right, so there are also these schedules. What are schedules? Anybody? Yes. What are the schedules? What is difference between this part, these parts and these schedules? Yes. So schedules are nothing but schedules are integral of Indian constitution. Okay, it is an integral part, and it provides additional information. Okay, these schedules provide additional information. Additional information. Okay, what are these additional information about? Yes, let us discuss it. Okay, let us discuss this additional information. So can you tell me how many schedules do we have in our constitution? Yes.
12.
Okay, we have total 12 schedules. We have total 12 schedules in our constitution, right? But were they 12 originally? Were they 12? Yes. Were they 12 originally? No. Okay. Originally, when the constitution was made, originally, we only had 8 schedules. Originally, we only had 8 schedules. Okay. Afterwards, these other 4 schedules were added. Okay. So let us see, because it is an important topic on which questions we can see there. Okay. So let us discuss what are these schedules. Okay. What are these schedules? So we have our first schedule. Okay, we have our first schedule. What does this first schedule talks about? Yes, anybody? First schedule talks about what? It talks about state. Okay, it talks about states and union territories. It talks about state and union territories. Okay, then we have second schedule. Just a minute. Then we have second schedule. This talks about what? Yes, this talks about salaries. Okay, this second schedule talks about salaries. Of whom? Salaries of whom? Salaries of our president. Salaries of our president. Salaries of our vice president. Okay, what will be the salary? Salaries of our governor, right? Salaries of our union ministers, salaries of our MPs, right? All these salaries are mentioned over here. This talks about salaries. Okay, then there is this third schedule, right? Third schedule talks about, yes, third schedule talks about oaths. Okay, it talks about oaths. When a president is elected, when a prime minister is elected, it talks about the oaths of them. Okay, oaths and affirmation, what they have to take. Okay, then we have our fourth schedule. Okay, fourth schedule talks about what? Yes, it talks about seat allocation. Of whom? Seat allocation. Okay, seat allocation of whom? of our Rajya Sabha members. Seat allocation of Rajya Sabha members. All right. Then we have fifth schedule. Okay, these schedules are important. Okay, they can ask you questions on which schedule talks about what. Okay, about oaths and affirmation is mentioned in which of the following schedule. Okay, like this question can be made over here. So it is important to discuss all these schedules. Okay, fifth schedule talks about scheduled areas and tribes. Okay, fifth schedule talks about scheduled areas and tribes. Okay, tribes. Okay, then we have our sixth schedule. Okay, now this sixth schedule is an important schedule. Okay, why is it important? Yes, anybody? What is there in sixth schedule? Yes, so it talks about tribal areas. This also talks about tribal areas, but of where? Tribal areas of where? It talks about tribal areas of northeast states, right? Tribal areas of northeast states. What are our northeast states? Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Tripura, right? About this, about tribal areas of northeast state, right? Then we have our seventh schedule. Okay, seventh schedule, it talks about what? It talks about division of power. Okay, it talks about division of power. Division of power between whom? Between the union and state. Between union and state. Division of power between union and states. All right. Okay. Then we had our last schedule, which talked about what? Last schedule talked about what? About languages. Okay. So these are first 8 schedules. These were first 8 schedules which were there in our constitution. Okay. These were first 8 schedules. Then we had what? We had 42nd Amendment Act. Okay. 42nd Amendment Act, by which this 9 schedule was added. So why are we having this amendment acts? Yes, anybody? Why are we having these acts, amendment acts? What is the reason? Why are we adding such things in the constitution? Yes, anybody? We are adding these because of certain situations, okay, which happened. Okay, so our constitution is a body which was made during such during the situations which were present at that time. Okay, so situation changes. Okay, so according to the situation, some acts, according to some cases, right, according to the cases which happen, okay, so we amend our constitution. We are amending our constitution. So via this 42nd Amendment Act, our 9th schedule was added. And this 9th schedule, it talks about what? It talks about what? It talks that laws cannot be challenged. On basis of what? Just a minute. It talks laws cannot be challenged. On basis of what? On fundamental rights. On fundamental rights. Okay, very important schedule. Laws cannot be challenged on fundamental rights. Okay. Okay. Then we had our 10th schedule. It talks about what? It talks about, so there were some cases which were happening. Okay, so that's why we were adding on these schedules. Okay, we were adding on these schedules. 10th talked about disqualification. Okay, disqualification for defection of whom? Of member of parliaments and of state legislature. Okay, it talks about disqualification. Disqualification, how are they disqualified? Okay, it talks about it. Disqualification for defection. It talks about disqualification or disqualification for defection. For whom? For whom? For MPs. So these, how can they be disqualified? And state legislature. Okay, how can these people be disqualified if they are found defection? Okay, so it talks about this. Now after this 9th and 10th schedule, okay, we had our important schedule. We had two more important schedule, right? We had what? 11th schedule, 11th schedule and 12th schedule. 11th schedule and 12th schedule. So this 11th schedule, it is an important question. Okay, here it is very important. 11th and 12th schedules were added by which amendment act? Added by which amendment act? Yes, anybody can tell me? Anybody? What 11th schedule talks about? Yes. So 11th schedule, it talks about panchayats. Okay, so there were formation of panchayats. Okay, this was not there earlier. Okay, so we added this panchayats. We added this panchayats. Yes, what are panchayats? Yes, anybody? What are these panchayats? What are these panchayats? Yes, Nachiket, Divya, Muskan. What are these panchayats? These are nothing but these are rural local bodies. Okay, so we gave power to them. We gave power to these rural local bodies and we formed what is called panchayat. All right, we formed what is called panchayat, and this 11th schedule was added by which amendment act? By 73rd Amendment Act. Okay, 73rd Amendment Act, this 11th schedule was added. And we had this 12th schedule. 12th schedule talks about what? About municipalities. About municipalities. Okay, these are all important schedules. Okay, questions may be asked from this topic. Okay, about municipalities. And what are these municipalities? Yes, what are these municipalities? These are urban local
bodies.
Yes, these are urban local bodies. These are urban local body. Okay, and this was added by which amendment act? By 74th Amendment Act. Okay, 74th Amendment Act. This was added. All right, so here this, by which amendment act these were added, it is important over here. Okay, so these are all our important schedules. Okay, we are having 12 schedules, but originally we were only having 8 schedule. Okay, so these are all our schedules. These are all our important schedules. And what do they talk about? All right.
Sir, the 10th schedule was added in which amendment act?
10th schedule, just a minute. 10th schedule. 10th schedule is not that important, but just let us see. 10th schedule. By which amendment act? Why 52nd? Okay, this was added by 52nd Amendment Act.
Okay.
Okay, 52nd Amendment Act. All right. So just note, it is form of notes only. Okay, you can just refer to this as well, but it is always good to have your own notes. Okay. All right. Now let us move to some important topics here. Okay, so let us now talk about fundamental rights. Okay, what are these fundamental rights? So fundamental rights, It is mentioned firstly, in which part of constitution is it mentioned? Yes. Which
Part 3.
Part 3. Part 3 of the constitution, this fundamental rights are mentioned. Okay. And what are our fundamental rights? Here, the important thing is, what are our fundamental rights? Okay. So there might be a question in which they will ask you, which of the following is not a fundamental right? Which of the following is not a fundamental right? Okay. Questions like this can be asked. So let us go through what are the fundamental rights which are mentioned in our constitution. Okay. So this is our first fundamental right. It talks about right to equality. Right to equality is a fundamental right. Okay. It is there with every citizen of our country. It is there with every citizen. It is there with every citizen of our country. Okay. Then there is this right to freedom. Right to freedom is a fundamental right. Then right against exploitation. Right against exploitation. All right. This is also a fundamental right. Then we have right to freedom of religion. Right to freedom of religion. Okay. Every citizen of India has right to freedom of religion. Okay. Then we have culture and educational right, and right to constitutional remedies. Right to constitutional remedies. So these are our fundamental rights. Okay. These are our all fundamental rights. Okay. And okay. And what are the features? What are the features of our fundamental rights which are mentioned? Okay. What are the features of this right? So are they justiciable or not justiciable? Yes, these rights are justiciable. That means what? That means what? They are enforced by our laws. Okay. They are enforced. It is very important. They are enforced by the courts. Is enforced by law. All right. It is enforced by law. Okay. So it is saying some rights prevent the states from acting. Okay. And while other requires affirmation. Okay. But these are some features. Okay. These are some features. Okay. Now, an important point over here. Important point over here. Can these rights, fundamental rights, can be suspended? Yes or no? Can these fundamental rights can be suspended? Yes. Few rights. Okay. Few rights can be suspended. What are these? Which are mentioned under 19, 20, 21, and 22 are these rights are restricted during emergencies, but other rights can be suspended during emergency. Okay. These rights are restricted, but other rights can be suspended during emergency. Okay. All right. Then there was this additional right. Okay. This right which was removed. Firstly, it was there. Okay. Right to property was there, a fundamental right, but this right was removed as a fundamental right. Okay. It was removed. Right to property was removed by 44th Amendment Act. Okay. So they can ask you in the way that which of the following is not a fundamental right? Right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, or right to property. So right to property is what? Is not a fundamental right now. Okay. It is not a fundamental right. Okay. It was amended by which amendment law? By 44th Amendment Act. Okay. Okay. Fundamental rights are subjected to reasonable restriction for security, morality, public order, and sovereignty. Okay. So these are subjected to restrictions. Okay. These are subjected to restrictions. All right. Okay. Now there is fundamental duties. So we discussed about fundamental rights, and now there is this fundamental duties. What is the main difference? Yes, anybody? What is the main difference between fundamental rights and fundamental duties? Yes. The main difference between them is that it is not justiciable. Okay, it is not justiciable. It cannot be enforced by law. It cannot be enforced by law. All right. It cannot be enforced by law. Whereas fundamental rights are enforced by law, right? These rights are enforced by law. Okay. And fundamental duties are not enforceable by law. Okay, very, very important. All right. So in which part fundamental duties are mentioned? Yes.
Part 4.
Yes, in the fourth part of our constitution, 4th A. All right, 4th A, fundamental duties are mentioned. Okay, and these were introduced by 42nd Amendment Act. Okay, before these were not there, but these were introduced by 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. In 1976, these fundamental duties were added in our constitution, right? And why they were added? By recommendation of this Swaran Singh committee. Okay, so there was this committee, Swaran Singh committee. It is related to fundamental duties. All right, Swaran Singh committee related to fundamental duties. All right. And why are these fundamental duties added in our constitution? Yes. Why are these added in our constitution? These are nothing but these are just a guide. These are just a guide for citizens to act responsibly. Okay, these are just a guide to act citizens to act responsibility. Let us see what are these fundamental duties. Okay, what are these fundamental duties? So we have total of 11 fundamental duties. Total of 11 fundamental duties are there in our constitution. Let us go through them. What are these fundamental duties? It says to abide by constitution and respect its ideal institution. We have to respect our national flag and national anthem. Okay, we have to respect our national flag and national anthem. Okay. See, these are not fundamental rights. These are not enforced to you by the constitution. Okay, it is not enforced to you by law, by jurisdiction. Okay, but it is just a guide for citizen. It is fundamental duties are guide to citizen for doing all these things. Okay, you these are guides to respect to national flag and national anthem, to cherish and follow the noble ideas of our freedom struggle, to cherish and follow the noble ideas of the freedom struggle, to uphold and protect sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, right? To defend the country and render national service when called upon. Okay, these are things which we have to do. It is not enforced by law, but it is good. As a good citizen, these things we should do. Okay, these are guides which we should do. All right, to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood, to prevent rich heritage of India's composite culture. We have to prevent our rich heritage, right? To protect and improve the natural environment, right? To protect and improve the natural environment, to develop a scientific temper, humanism and spirit of inquiry and reform, right? To safeguard public property, to strive towards excellence in all sphere of individual and collective activity, right? And this was one more, which was 11th fundamental duty, which was added by 86th Amendment Act, which says to provide opportunity for education, to children between age group of 6 and 14. Okay, so these are some fundamental duties which as a citizen we should do. Okay, but these are not enforced by law. These are not enforced by law. These are not enforced by law, right? But these are general guidelines as a good citizen we should do. Okay. All right. Now let us see a comparison between fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Okay. So as we discussed, which part of Constitution this fundamental rights deal with? It deals with part 3 of the Constitution. Fundamental deals with part 4 of the Constitution, right? Are fundamental rights justiciable? Yes, they are justiciable in nature. Are these fundamental duties justiciable? No, they cannot be enforced by law, right? These cannot be enforced by law. This protects individual from state action. Okay, these protects individual from state action by action of court, right? And these are reminders for citizen for their responsibility. These are just a reminders for the citizen, right? Then amendment, part of original constitution. These are part of original constitution. These were added, right? These were fundamental duties were added to the constitution by 42nd Amendment Act, right? These were added in the constitution. Okay, these were part of original constitution. Very, very important. Okay, fundamental rights were part of original constitution, and these were added by the Amendment Act, 42nd Amendment Act, right? Okay, let us see some questions on this now. Okay, let us see some questions on this. Okay, so this question says, which of the following fundamental right cannot be suspended even during national emergency? Yes. Which of the following fundamental rights cannot be suspended even during national emergency? Yes. Yes, anybody? Right to freedom of speech, right to protection in respect of conviction for offense, right to equality before the law, right to constitutional remedies. Okay, important question over here. It is an important question. See, right to freedom of speech and expression, right to freedom of speech and expression. This right can be suspended. Okay, this right can be suspended during emergency. During emergency, this right can be suspended. Okay, right to protection in respect of conviction for offenses. Conviction for offenses. This cannot be suspended. Okay, this cannot be suspended even during emergency. Okay, this is a fundamental right. Okay, very, very important. Okay, note it down. Very important. This is a right which cannot be suspended during national emergency. Okay, if there is a national emergency, if our country declares a national emergency, then right to protection in respect of conviction for offenses. Okay, or offenses, this cannot be suspended. This cannot be suspended. Right to equality before law, this can be suspended. Okay, this right can be suspended during emergency. Then right to constitutional remedies, this right can also be suspended during emergency. Okay, but this right to protection in respect of conviction for offenses, this cannot be suspended during emergency. All right, very, very important question. Okay, now this question says, which article of Indian Constitution guarantees the right to constitutional remedies, empowering individuals to approach the Supreme Court directly for enforcement of fundamental rights? Yes, anybody? So this is Article 32. So Article 32 talks about right to constitutional remedies. Right to constitutional remedies. Okay, important. Right to constitutional remedies. Article 32 talks about it. Right? Okay. There's one more question. Which of the following is not a fundamental right under the Indian Constitution? Now I want answer from you. Which of the following is
Right to property.
yes,
Right to property.
very correct. Right to property was earlier there, but it is not now. It's not there now. Okay, so this was removed by which Amendment Act? This was removed by which Amendment Act? Yes, it was removed. Right to property was removed under fundamental rights.
44.
Under which Amendment Act? We just discussed now.
44.
44.
Where is this? Fundamental duties, fundamental, right?
44.
44 Amendment Act, right? So all the important things are mentioned here. Okay, all the important things are mentioned in these slides. Okay, 44th Amendment Act. Okay, so these are all fundamental rights which are mentioned in our constitution. Right to equality, right to freedom of religion, right against exploitation. This all are fundamental rights. Okay, all right. Now, one more question. The fundamental duties of Indian citizens were incorporated into Constitution on the recommendation of which committee? Just discussed. We just discussed this.
Swaran Singh.
Yes.
Swaran Singh.
Swaran Singh Committee. Okay. Swaran Singh Committee. All right. Very, very important questions, huh? Important questions here. Okay. Now this says, which of the following is fundamental duty added by 86th Amendment Act of 2002? Yes?
Option D.
Yes. To provide education to children of age 6 to 14-year-old. See, we just discussed in fundamental duties, right? We just discussed by 86th Amendment Act to provide opportunities for education to children between age 16 to 14, right? So this was added afterwards. This was added by 86th Amendment Act. It was added by 86th Amendment Act. And when by which Amendment Act these fundamental duties were added in our constitution? By 42nd Amendment Act. Okay. 42nd Amendment Act, our fundamental duties were added. Okay. These all duties were added. And after the addition of these duties, okay, these 10 duties were added by what? By 42nd Amendment Act. Afterwards, by 86th Amendment Act, one more additional duty was added in this, right? By 86th Amendment Act. What was that? To provide opportunity for education to children between age of 6 and 14 years, right? Okay. All right. So these were few important questions on this. Okay. Now let us come to next part of our constitution, which states about directive principle of state policy. Directive principle of state policy. What are these things? What are these things? Right? So DPSP, it is nothing but by which it is mentioned in which part? Firstly, in which part? DPSP is mentioned in fourth part, right? DPSP is mentioned in fourth part, and this fundamental duties are mentioned in fourth part.
4A.
A part. 4A part. Okay. So we made a 4A part in our constitution. So fourth part was already there. Okay. DPSP were already there in our constitution, but we made one more. We made one more part of it. Okay. 4A. We called it 4A, and in which this fundamental duties were added. Okay. Fundamental duties were added. So these DPSPs are also in relation of, is also related to our fundamental duties. It is also related to fundamental duties. All right. So this says these are principles and guidelines for government, okay, for the government to achieve social economic justice and create welfare state. Okay. So these are what? These are guidelines to the government. Fundamental duties were guideline to whom? Fundamental duties were guidelines to whom? Yes? To the people of India, to the citizen of India. Fundamental duties were guidelines to citizen, right? Were guideline to citizen of India, right? And these fundamental DPSP, these are guidelines to the government, okay, to achieve social justice and create welfare state. Okay, these are guidelines to the government here. Okay, important point. Okay, so DPSP, we took it from which constitution? So our constitution was taken from different countries, right? Some part was taken from different countries, some part were from different countries. So this DPSP, okay, important point over here. DPSP was taken from Irish constitution. Okay, DPSP were taken from where? From Irish constitution. Okay, DPSPs were included in our constitution from Irish constitution. And what does it reflects? It reflects what? It reflects preamble, vision of our preamble. Okay, aiming for justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Okay, all right. Now these are some features of DPSP. Okay, DPSP. Like fundamental duties, these are not enforced by court. These are not enforced by court. Okay, it is not enforced by law. It is not enforced by law. DPSP. All right, but they are fundamentals in governments. Okay, these are just guidelines. These are guidelines to the government. Okay, how the government should function. But this is not enforced by law. This is not enforced by law. Okay, so what is the nature? Okay, they are moral obligation for government to legislate on policies promoting public welfare. Okay, okay. Flexibility. Okay, so are they flexible in nature? Yes, they can be amended. Okay, they can be amendment to constitution. All right. Okay, now these are some importance of DPSP. Okay, so these are guidelines for the government for policy making. These are guidelines for the government for policy making, right? Who is the policy making body? Who is the policy making body of our country? This is nothing but the government. Okay, policy making body is government. So these states guidelines for policy making for the government. Okay, then welfare of state. Okay, so DPSP aims to create a state that prioritizes public welfare. It prioritizes what? Public welfare over individual interest. Very important. Prioritizes public welfare for the benefit of citizen rather than individual interest. Okay, and these are basis for law. These are basis for law. Okay, now important questions. Okay, important questions over here. So which of the following statements about directive principle of state policy is correct? Yes, tell me. Yes, they are justiciable. Are they justiciable in nature? Yes or no?
They are fundamental to governance of the country.
Okay, first let us go one by. Are they justiciable by court? No, right?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
No.
These are not justiciable. Okay, so what is the question asking? Which of the following statement about DPSP is correct? Is correct. So these are not justiciable by court. Okay, they are fundamental to the governance of country. Yes or no? Fundamentals to governance of the country. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they are fundamentals to governance of the country, right? They are enforceable by jurisdiction.
No.
No, right?
No.
Okay. They were part of the original Government Act of 1935. Yes or no?
No.
No, right? They were added by which Amendment Act? Yes. They were not part of this particular Government Act of. These were added afterwards. Okay, in the making of Constitution. All right. Okay. This thing. Okay, one important question over here. Okay, from where, which country did we take our fundamental duties from? Yes, fundamental duties we took from which of constitution of which country? Yes,
Russia.
yes, Russia. Not Russia, but USSR. At that time it was USSR. Okay, important. Okay, note it down. All right, fundamental duties we took from Russia. That at that time it was USSR. All right. Okay, now this is the directive principle to promote equal justice and provide free legal aid is included under the DPSP. Directive principle to promote equal justice. Directive principle to promote equal justice and provide free legal aid. Provide free legal aid is included under which? Under what? Yes. Anybody?
Option
Yes. to promote equal justice, and free legal aid is under social justice principle. Okay. What is under Gandhian principle? What is under Gandhian principle? Anybody? Gandhian principle. It talks about, this Gandhian principle talks about promotion. Okay. It talks about promotion of cotton industry. It talks about promotion of cotton industry. And also it talks about, this talks about organization for village panchayat. Talks about organization of village panchayat. Okay, Gandhian principle. Okay, what does this liberal intellectual principle talks about? Liberal intellectual principle talks about, they talk about modernization. Okay, they talk about modernization. They talk about modernization and also about international peace. Okay, it talks about international peace. Okay, all right. And these fundamental rights talk about equality, right? It talks about equality among citizens. Equality among citizens, right? Okay. So these, okay, one more question. It says the provision for a uniform civil code for citizen is mentioned in which article of Indian Constitution? Okay, what is this uniform civil code? Yes, anybody? What is this uniform civil code? What does this means? It means it under law. Okay, under law, by law everyone is equal. Okay, under the law every citizen of this country is equal. It talks about uniformity. It talks about uniformity. It talks about uniformity in personal law. Okay, it talks about uniformity in personal law. Okay, so under which article this uniform civil code is mentioned? It is mentioned under article 44. Okay, it is mentioned under article 44. Okay, now this question says the 42nd Amendment Act 1976 added which of the following directive principle to the Constitution? Yes, which of the following principles were added by 42nd Amendment Act? Yes, anybody? Equal pay for equal work? No. Promotion of?
Option D.
Yes. Organization of village panchayat. Organization of village panchayat was added by 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. All right. Okay. So these were important things about our union, about the union. Okay. Now let us move to about our fundament, this DPSP. Okay. Now let us move to the union. Let us move to union. So what is this union? Union is mentioned in which part of Constitution?
First.
First part, union. See, union is nothing but union talks about president. Union talks about vice president. It talks about parliament, which is made of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Okay, it talks about prime minister of our country, right, and other union executives. Okay, and other union executives. So this forms union. Okay, and about all these people, okay, about all these people, it is mentioned in fifth, part fifth of our constitution, okay. So this is under part 5, okay, and it talks about, it includes president, vice president, parliament, that is Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, then prime minister and other union executives, right? So these, under these articles, under these, so we have parts and we have articles, okay, we have parts and we have articles. So under articles 52 to 62, everything about president is mentioned. About under 63 to 71, about vice president is mentioned. Then council of ministers, which is headed by whom? Council of minister is headed by prime minister,
Prime Minister.
right? Council of minister is headed by prime minister. Then attorney general, very important personalities. Attorney general, okay. About, yeah, about attorney general, it is mentioned in article 76, okay. Okay, now let us talk about some important points about president, okay, about our president, okay. So how is our president elected? Is it elected directly by the people of India? Yes. Is there any direct elections? Yes.
No.
No. So how is our president elected? It is elected by electoral college, okay, electoral college. And it comprises of what? It comprises of members of parliament, house of parliament and legislative assembly and union territories, okay. All the people from Rajya Sabha, right, all people from Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, these people, they elect our president, okay. So what are his powers? Executive powers. So all union executive, okay, important here, union executive actions are taken by president, under president, okay, all union executive actions. Then president has this, okay, this is fine. Under article 20, president can issue ordinance during recession, okay, yes, important point. Ordinance making power, okay, so he has ordinance making power, okay. And he can declare emergency, okay, he can declare 3 types of emergency. What are the emergencies? National emergency, state emergency and financial emergency. These 3 emergencies our president can declare, right? Okay, then we have vice president. Vice president, important point, he is our ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha, okay, he is the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha, important, right? And he is elected by whom? By both houses of parliament. It is elected by both houses of parliament. And act as a president, he act as a president in case vacancy due to resignation, removal, death or incapacity, okay. So in any way, if our president is not functioning, vice president takes over, he takes over as president, okay. All right, then there is this important personality, attorney general of India. Who is this person? Who is this person? Who is this person? Yes, he is the highest law officer. He is the highest law officer of our country, okay. So questions can be made like, which of the following statements are correct, about whom, okay. So these are all important points which are mentioned, okay. I want you to go through all of them after the class as well, okay. So he advises the government on legal matter. He advises the government on legal matter, right? And he can participate in parliament proceedings but cannot vote, okay. He cannot vote in, he cannot vote, important over here, okay. He can participate in parliament proceedings but he cannot vote there, okay. He cannot vote for electing president, okay, very very important. He cannot vote for electing president, right? And there's attorney general, about him, where it is mentioned in article 76. Attorney general in article 76, right? Okay, Then comes our Prime Minister, the most important personality. Most important. Why he is the most important personality? Yes. Why he is the most important personality of our country? Yes. So it is most important personality for India. Okay. For India. In USA, it is not the same case. In USA, who is the most important personality?
President.
Is president. All the powers which is executed by a prime minister in USA, it is executed by president. Right? So our prime minister in India, he is the most important personality. Because why? He is the head of government. Head of government in India. He is the head of government in India. And most powerful executive. Most powerful executive authority. Most powerful executive authority. Okay, note it down. President is just a signing body. This person, president is just a signing body. Prime Minister will take the decision and he will put forward in front of president, and his work is just to sign it. Okay, his work is just to sign it. But all the important decisions for the country is taken by Prime Minister of India. Okay. So, where about Prime Minister is mentioned? In Article 74, Prime Minister advises the President in appointing other ministers. Okay. In Article 74, this Prime Minister advises President in appointing other minister. He is the head of Council of Minister. He is the head of Council of Minister. Okay. Okay. If no party has majority, okay, if no party has majority, so we have different parties, right? We have different parties in our country, right? We have BJP, we have Congress, we have AAP, right? We have different parties in our country, right? If in the election there is no majority, if there is no majority, then president can decretate in appointing the prime minister. President has the right to appoint the prime minister. He has the authority to appoint the prime minister. Okay. If there is no majority, right? Okay. Then we have our parliament. We have our parliament located in where? New Delhi. Right? We have our parliament. So we have two bodies here. We have two bodies. We have Rajya Sabha and we have Lok Sabha, right? Few important points about Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is the upper house, okay? It is called the upper house, and Lok Sabha is the lower house. Lok Sabha is the lower of house. So it is called Council of States and it is House of People. It is House of People, okay? Maximum strength of Rajya Sabha is 250 members, okay? Maximum strength of Lok Sabha is 552 people, okay? All right. Few more important points. Rajya Sabha, it represents states and union territory, okay? This Rajya Sabha, it represents states of India and union territories, okay? And this represent people. This represent people directly, and the members of Lok Sabha, are elected by vote, by voting by the citizen of India. Okay. So this Rajya Sabha, it is a permanent body. Okay. Remember this. Rajya Sabha, it is a permanent body. And this is not a permanent body. Okay. This is Lok Sabha, it is not a permanent body. It changes. Normal term is 5 years. But it can be dissolved by president. Okay. It is very important here. This Lok Sabha can be dissolved. Okay. It is not fixed that it has to rule for 5 years. Okay. If it is once elected, it is not necessary that it has to rule for 5 years. this can be dissolved by President of India. Okay. There might be a question like, okay, there might be a question like, which of the following statements is correct? Lok Sabha, member of Lok Sabha has a term of 5 years. Lok Sabha members have a term of 5 years. Is it correct or wrong? Correct or wrong? They have a term of 5 years. It is not necessary, okay? It is not necessary. It is not necessary. It is not necessary, okay? It can be dissolved also, okay? Once elected, it can be dissolved also. All right, important points. But the members of Rajya Sabha, it is a permanent body, okay? And 1/3 of its members retire every 2 years, okay? So these are all things which are mentioned in our constitution, and we abide by it, okay? We abide by it, okay? Okay. Key points about parliament, powers of parliament, okay? Key points of powers of parliament, okay? So union list. So how many lists are there total? Union, state and concurrent list. We have 3 lists, right? We have 3 lists in total. One is union list. We have state list. And we have concurrent list. Concurrent list, okay? So legislative power with the parliament can make laws on union list. This parliament can make laws on union list, subject and under certain condition on state lists. They can make, but they cannot make on concurrent list, okay? They cannot make on concurrent list, okay? Then we have financial power, okay? Financial powers are there. Controls the union budget. Union budget is controlled by whom? By the parliament, okay? Money bill. Money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. Important here, okay? Money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha. Not in Rajya Sabha. Okay, important. American Constitution, okay. Okay. Can impeach president. Can impeach president, judges of Supreme Court and High Court. Okay, these are judiciary powers which they have. It is there with the parliament. These are powers with the parliament. They have the power to impeach president. They have the power to remove the judges of Supreme Court and High Court. Okay, they have this power. Okay. All right. Key features of union. It is unitary bias. What does this mean? Unitary bias means what? Has stronger power compared to states. Okay. The center has stronger power. Center has stronger power than states. This form of government which we adopt is called quasi-federal. And this quasi-federal form of government was taken from which country? Yes, taken from which country? Yes, anybody? Quasi-federal form of government was taken from which country? It was taken from Canada. Okay. Quasi-federal form of government was taken from Canada. Okay. USA has a federal government. Federal government. That means what? More power is to states. More power is to states. More power is to states. We follow a form of government which is called quasi-federal form of government. And this quasi-federal form of government was taken from Canada. Okay. Okay. A few important things, federal structure and parliamentary India's dual polity, right? Dual polity, but center government. Okay. Important. Strong power is to center government. Executive is accountable to legislature. Okay, fine. Now some questions. Which of the following is not a part of union executive? Which of the following is not a part of union executive? Yes.
Speaker of Lok Sabha.
Union executive, prime minister is a part of union executive. He takes the decision. He is there in execute. Executive means what? Executing the decision. Okay. They execute the decision. They execute the policies. They execute the policies. Okay. So prime minister is part of union executive. President is also a part of union executive. Attorney General of India, he is also a part of union executive. But who is not a part of union executive? Speaker of Lok Sabha. Speaker of Lok Sabha is not a part of union executive. Okay. So this is our answer. More important question. Which of the following is not a power of the Indian Parliament? Which of the following is not a power of Parliament? Yes. Amending the constitution, declaring a national emergency, electing the president, dissolving state assembly. Yes.
Option C.
Electing the president. No, but the parliament only elects the president, right? Members of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, right? Members of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, they elect the president. So this power they have, right?
Option D.
Declaring national emergency. Do they have this power?
No.
Yes. President declares, right? President declares.
President.
So this power is there. Okay. President is a part of parliament. Is elected, but it is
So
part.
dissolving state assemblies.
Yes. Dissolving state assembly. This they don't. State assemblies they cannot dissolve. This parliament they cannot dissolve the state assembly. Okay. Amending constitution also they have this power. Right? Important questions. Okay. Like this, tricky questions are there. Now we come to panchayats. And municipalities. Okay. An important point over here to note is these panchayats and municipalities were not there in original constitution.
Sir, can you please excuse? I have a doubt.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, in the previous question, you said that the Indian Parliament also consists of the President and the Prime Minister,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, the President as well as the Prime Minister, do they have the rights to dissolve the state assemblies? It's a bit conflicting. I'm getting confused.
Just a minute. Repeat your question.
So, as you mentioned that Indian Parliament also consists of the President.
Yes.
And the president will also have a right to dissolve state assemblies or not?
No.
I have
No.
a question.
They have not the power to dissolve state assembly. That's why.
Okay, sir.
Okay. All right. Now there is this 73rd Amendment Act. Okay. About panchayats and municipalities. So these were not there in original constitution. These were not there in original constitution. Okay. These were added to our constitution. Now, important point over here is by which amendment act? Okay. We discussed earlier also, but it is very important by 73rd Amendment Act. By 73rd Amendment Act of 1992. What was added? Panchayats were added. Panchayats were added. Okay. Why they were added? Why the panchayats were added? Why the panchayats were added? So see, before 1992, what we were having? Before 1992, what we were having? We were having a central government. Okay. We were having a central government. Then we were having a state government. Okay. These two were the bodies. Okay. Center and state. So, but we are a very large country, right? We are a very large country. We are a very large country, right? We are a very large country. So to control all of this, okay, to control small villages, control small villages of our country, it was not possible. It was getting difficult. Okay, it was getting difficult for state and center government. It was getting difficult. So what they introduced? They introduced panchayat. They institute panchayats. So panchayats were just like central and state government. Okay, there was some hierarchy. Okay, there was some hierarchy in there. Okay, and what they did is now they gave them some power. Okay, they gave them power of execution, right? They gave them power of execution to these people. Okay, the who were there, so we have panchayat elections. Okay, so people vote for who will be their ruler. Okay, who will be there, who will be taking decisions for their village. Okay, so they gave them power here, and they established panchayats. Okay, we established panchayats during 1992. Okay, all right. And then after at 74th Amendment Act of 1992, we added municipalities. Okay, we added municipalities. So we have municipalities in small. We have this state, and we have municipality. This state is also we have this city. This city is also divided in certain parts, and we have municipal elections. Right, you have elections in your area as well, right? In your areas. So there are some local government formed, right, which takes decisions on behalf of their area, on behalf of the area which they are allocated. Okay, so these municipalities were introduced in 1992, right? So these were important things here. Okay, important things to remember. How were they added? By 73rd Amendment Act and 74th Amendment Act. All right, these two bodies were added in the constitution. Okay, now some questions on this, on union. Some questions on union. This is, which of the following statement is correct? Which of the following statement is correct? The President of India can dissolve Lok Sabha at any time during the 5-year term. Is it true?
Yes.
Okay, this is true. The President of India, he has the power to dissolve the Lok Sabha. He has the power to dissolve Lok Sabha at any time during 5-year term. Okay. Then this says the President of India can only dissolve the Lok Sabha after completion of 5 years. Yes. Which of the following statement is correct? Has it to be that once the person of Lok Sabha, once the party of Lok Sabha, once the people of Lok Sabha are elected, they have to rule, they have to be in power for 5 years?
No.
No, right?
No, sir.
No. So this statement is wrong here. Okay. He has the power, right? He has the power, but he can dissolve any time. Okay. It is not necessary. It is not necessary that they have to complete the term of 5 years. Okay. It is not necessary that they have to complete the term of 5 years. So here only option A is correct. Only option A is correct. All right. Okay. Now this question says, which of the following statement is correct? Fundamental rights are guaranteed to all citizens of India, including non-citizens. Fundamental rights are guaranteed only to citizens and not to foreigners, except for certain rights like the right to life. Yes. Which of the following is correct? Are the fundamental rights? Suppose there is some person with a nationality of USA, or let's say nationality of Germany. A German nation comes to India. Okay, he comes to India. Now, after he came to India, are the fundamental rights? Is he having the fundamental rights which are there with citizens of India? Yes or no?
No.
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 No. right? He is not having fundamental rights which are there with citizen of India. Okay, all these rights which were mentioned, we discussed earlier. There's not to any foreign citizen who comes to India. Okay, but there are certain rights. Okay, like right to life. Okay, this right to life, it automatically gets there. Okay, he has the right to life. Okay, so here, which is the correct option? Only B. Only B is correct. Okay, he has this right. Okay, he has this right to life. That's why we have this visa, right? We have visas which are issued, right? Once any citizen, any other citizen, he is having a Indian visa. Okay, some rights automatically get transferred here with his visa. If he is coming without visa, then there are nothing. Okay, there is no legal paperwork. But that's why we provide visas to foreign citizens. Okay, that's why we provide visas to foreign citizens, and via providing the visas, they get certain rights. Okay, such as right to life. All right. Okay, this question. It says, which of the following statement is correct? The Rajya Sabha can be dissolved by President of India. The Lok Sabha can be dissolved by President of India. Yes. Which of the following is correct? Can President of India dissolve Rajya Sabha? Yes. Can he dissolve?
Sir, I think no.
Okay. Can he dissolve Lok Sabha? Can he dissolve Lok Sabha? Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes. Right. So this President of India, because this Rajya Sabha is what? It is a permanent body. Rajya Sabha is a permanent body, okay, but Lok Sabha is not a permanent body, okay. Lok Sabha is not a permanent body, and this can be dissolved by President of India. All right, it can be dissolved. So only A, no, yeah, only B, only B is correct, right? This President cannot dissolve Rajya Sabha. Okay, so A is not correct. Okay. Last question. Which of the following statements is correct? The Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister of India is appointed. Prime Minister of India is appointed by the President of India from the largest party in the Lok Sabha. The Prime Minister of India is appointed by President of India from the largest party in Lok Sabha. The Prime Minister of India is directly elected by the people of India. Yes. Are both the statements correct? Are both of them wrong?
Option A. Option A is correct.
So only A.
Yes. Prime Minister of India is not appointed by President of India. Right? It is not appointed. Prime Minister is appointed by whom? It is appointed by people. It is by people. So only option A. So these were few important topics. Okay, few important topics on which generally the AFCAT exam makes question on. Okay, these are few important topics on which generally the AFCAT exam makes question on. Okay, I will be also sharing you after this class. Okay, after this class in your group, I will be sharing you some more important questions. Okay, some more important questions in your group, and I want you all to solve this. Okay, I want you all to solve it. With this, go through all these questions also. Okay, go through these slides once again. Okay, go through all these slides once again. Okay, and after this, I will be sharing some important questions for your this for your AFCAT 25, which are probably will be coming in your exam. Okay, so like this, we have covered all the important topics of polity. Okay, just keep this notes and the notes which we discussed of history also. Okay, all the important points are mentioned there. Okay, we have filtered out all the important key topics which are there, from which the questions are made. All right, just go through them. These slides are more than enough for your preparation. Okay, these slides are more than enough for your preparation. Okay, just stop the recording.